For our next session, I am delighted to introduce you to our next speaker, Sander Pielkenrud, CEO of Dutch Clean Tech, who is going to give us a keynote speech. Over to you. Thank you. Round of applause.
Okay. Dry, tap out, day zero. It's all descriptions for one and the same thing, the day that our taps run dry. Imagine a world where our most essential element of life has become scarce and a precious commodity. Imagine people fighting over it. And this is the terrifying reality depicted in Neil Shusterman's gripping novel, Dry. And this dystopian thriller doesn't just entertain, it also forces its readers to think how fragile our world really is. Shusterman masterfully delves into the primal instincts of survival, revealing both the best and worst of human nature when civilization collapses. And it will collapse when we are running out of water. So welcome everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Sander Pielkenrud and I'm the CEO of Dutch Clean Tech. And today I'm here to discuss three things with you. First, Day Zero is not just a dystopian fiction, it is a harsh reality. For example, in Mexico City with its 20 million inhabitants, but also in a growing number of other cities and even whole countries. Secondly, I would like to share my views on how did we get here? How did we let this all happen? And last, what can we do? What can we do to make communities more resilient to water shortages, more independent, and more sustainable in the real sense of the word? But first I'm going to tell you a bit about my journey and why I established Dutch Clean Tech. I joined our family company about 20 years ago, and we've been building water treatment plants for more than 60 years, mainly for the blue chip industrial customers, many different countries around the world. So I've seen firsthand the devastating impacts of water pollution. So in Europe, we faced these same challenges 40, 50 years ago, but we addressed these issues for example, by treating our wastewaters. And we have demonstrated here that change is possible with the right technology, the experience and funding. And actually, looking back at this transformation now, I was a small child when actually our beaches were polluted and the North Sea was very dirty. But this transformation fueled my passion for clean water and sustainable entrepreneurship. Today, it seems that we are moving in the wrong direction again in Europe. I just read this morning in the newspaper that in my country, in the Netherlands, we're facing water shortages. I'm not sure how that happens, but probably there's a lack of clean water. Fact of the matter is that 80% of all the wastewater around the world is being discharged untreated. And that has caused surface waters to become severely polluted. Not suitable to produce drinking water anymore. Many times not even suitable for irrigation. And still people didn't want to treat their wastewater to let these surface waters recover. They went pumping up groundwater. And now all the aquifers, or many of the aquifers, are depleted. It's not a matter of that there's not enough water on our planet, because there is enough. There's plenty of water. The problem is that most of it has been polluted. So we can't use it anymore. And here we are, water scarcity, lack of clean water. And it's not just a lack of clean water. but there's also serious health issues, because did you know that 30%, so that's 1/3 of all the hospital beds around the world, is occupied by patients with a water-related disease? So what we need is we need a water transition. And I wanted to make this change. I want to offer a solution, and that is why I established Dutch Cleantech. And in fact, the solution is quite simple. We just need to start treating our wastewater before we discharge it back into nature. And once we do that, surface waters will recover, and they will become sustainable sources for drinking water and for irrigation. It's just about restoring the natural water balance. We take water from nature, we use it, and we give it back in the same way as we took it. And to do that, we need three things. We need technology, we need expertise, and we need money. Well, the technology and the expertise we have. We have a fantastic and international team of engineers. I told you we've been working in the wastewater treatment business for more than 60 years. We do have a strong focus on energy savings and reduction of chemical consumption. For example, our sewage treatment plants use 30% less energy than any conventional plant you can see also in Europe. And our water treatment of drinking water production plants, I must say, they use less chemicals because of smart sludge management. So far the easy part. But where do we get the money from? And we're talking about a lot of money. According to United Nations, we need to invest $100 billion per year to prevent water scarcity in the future. And the European Investment Bank is even talking about 1,000 billion per year. The fact is that the water industry, the water market, is amongst the largest and fastest growing markets in the world. So let's zoom out a little bit and see how these water projects are currently being financed. Usually by governments and by development banks, like the European Development Bank or like the Asian Development Bank. Well, governments often don't have money to invest, and that's part of the problem. And development banks, they're great institutions, but there's a few disadvantages. They're not independent because often they're politically motivated. And getting financing in place with them takes a long time because of compliance issues and things like that. And moreover, they simply do not have enough public money to cover all the investments. And there is another problem that governments face. They find it difficult to buy infrastructure projects like trains, airports, but also wastewater treatment plants. And that's logical because they're not specialists in that field. But still, they need to provide their people with clean water. So why not buy clean water? Why build a water treatment plant? Why not buy clean water from a specialist? Easy to procure, easy to measure the volumes and the quality, and easy to implement. So one night when my kids were watching Netflix, I got an idea. I thought we need to offer water treatment as a service, just like Netflix. Introduce the concept of the sharing economy to the water industry. That's a revolution. We don't sell water treatment plants, we sell clean water. But how do we do that? Well, we design, we construct, we invest, we own, we operate our treatment plants based on concessions for 20 or 30 years. And our clients, usually governments, pay a transparent monthly fee per cubic meter. So back to the money part. How do we fund these investments? Well, we simply set up our own investment fund. To be honest with you, that sounds easier than it was because it took a couple of years to get that sorted. But what we do, we integrate fintech with ecotech in a responsible, fair and transparent way, and that's important. So right now, we are attracting money from private investors. We do that by issuing bonds. And I mean private people investing their savings, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. So not corporations, although a few institutional investors have also approached us. But there is a thing with private investors, they want to make a return on their investment. So we offer them 7 to 9% interest. Logical, because we use their money to invest in those water treatment plants. Sometimes people have asked me if I don't find it unethical to make a profit on supplying clean water. No, I don't. Because we supply clean water, we can make a fair profit for adding this important value to people's lives. And so can our investors. I mean, after all, they provided the funding. And if we don't do it, who will? As I said, our fees are transparent, so they consist of interest and repayment for our investors, operating cost, and a small profit for us, which is 6% of the capex. I think that's pretty fair. And it's important to keep it transparent because we want to prevent a situation whereby we only maximize our profits and forget to deliver a quality product, clean water. Whether that be drinking water or wastewater that can be safely discharged back into lakes and rivers. And that is also why our customers only pay if we achieve the agreed quality. After all, we claim to be the specialists in water treatment, so we need to put our money where our mouth is. Unlike certain corporations in Europe and also in the UK, who have privatized the water supply companies, and some of them, they don't deliver clean water, but they do get paid. We set up Dutch Cleantech 2 years ago, and we are getting traction now. We have started 2 major projects, one in Mexico City and another in Antigua, Guatemala. And these projects alone have a value of $60 million. Our sales funnel for next year is about $500 million. And just in these 2 countries. And that's just the beginning, because our target is to invest $1 billion before 2029. Or was, because in Mexico and Central America alone, we have identified billions worth of opportunities. So currently we are raising bonds, as I said. We do that in the Netherlands. We have issued 30 million euros worth of bonds. But that's even not enough to finance our first 2 projects. And that is why we're setting up a fund in Luxembourg. And that allows us to attract funding from all European countries, including the UK and some countries outside of Europe, US, and UAE. So Dutch Cleantech has the potential to become a billion-dollar company. And to make this happen, we need to invest in our organization. Oops, something went wrong here. That's okay. No worries, it's okay. So that's why right now we're looking to attract... It's fine. Okay. So right now we're looking to attract equity investment. And this is our last round of investments before our planned IPO. But Dutch Cleantech is not just about money. It's not just about making money. Because by investing and by doing what we do, we also provide millions with clean water. We improve their living conditions. And we create resilient societies. So this is an investment with real impact. And you can join us either by investing in bonds or becoming an equity partner. Thank you.